Hello there everyone. In today's tutorial I'm going to show you how we make these macrame butterfly earrings. They look like this. So you have these cute little butterflies and then with a little tassel on the bottom with some beads on. You can obviously make it look however you want to. You could also just use one of them and make a pendant. It's completely up to you. I just made these into earrings. And these are to match the bracelet that I've already done, a butterfly bracelet. So I'll put a link to that in the description box below. That might be interesting, so you can make a set as well, that'd be kind of cute. So if you want to learn how to make these earrings or pendant, then stay tuned. So it's these things that we'll need to make a macrame butterfly earrings. Now first off I have my cord here, and this is a 0.8mm nylon cord that I'm working with, and just in a purple colour. You can use whatever cord or thread that you want to. And then here I have my beads. So this is just some 3mm metal spacer beads. I have a silver colour and then a black or gunmetal. You can choose whatever beads you want to for your tassel at the end. And then we just need some jump rings to work the butterfly from. And then also if you want to make earrings, just some earring findings. So let's get it together and let's get started. So the cord that we'll need to work with is 13 lengths of our nylon cord here, or about 50 centimeters each. Now because it's just one butterfly that we're making for whether it's an earring or a pendant, this is all we need. And we're going to have a bit of excess, but we need to make sure we have enough to work with as well. So first off we just need to get one of our jump rings out here, because we're just working from a jump ring here. That's what we're building our butterfly from. And then we also need to get one length of cord. So the first length, what I'm going to then do is put both ends together here to find roughly the middle up there. Have this little loop, I'm going to keep hold of that. What we then need to do is attach this cord to the jump ring. Make sure your jump ring is closed. Either if you used a closed jump ring or if you use an open one, just make sure that it's closed nicely so you don't risk the cord coming through the opening. We need to put this loop in the middle of the cord through the jump ring, and then we take it back around, put your fingers through there, pull the tails of your cord through that loop and then pull it tight. And then this is a lark's head knot. We've now attached this cord to that jump ring. It's going to be the starting point. And then what I've also done is here, I'm working on a project macrame board here to make it nice and easy to work with, and I'm also going to be using these, so some T-pins along the way to make my work easier. So the very first thing I'm going to do here is take some of my T-pins and just pin this jump ring into my board just so we can fasten it, and then start working with making the butterfly, but from a much easier starting point, because we fasten the work down so it doesn't move around, just like that. And then we have two cords here coming down through the middle. And then now what we need to do from this point is attach some other cords to these two that are coming down from that jump ring. So we take one at a time here. Again, I'm going to find roughly the middle by putting both ends together, and then you have your little loop up here. And I'm going to keep hold of that middle point there, just roughly. And then what we need to do is put this middle point underneath the two holding cords there, coming from the jump ring. So each end of this cord that we're attaching comes out to each side underneath there. I'm going to just keep hold of it like this. Then what I'm going to do is take my right one here, doesn't matter which one you do, I'm just using this one, bring it back across over those two on this side, so up towards the jump ring, and then back underneath again, making then sure you come up through the loop here, that you create it with the same cord. So come through that, pull that down. Now it's not tight yet, we need to do this again. Put the same cord again over the top of those two holding cords that we're holding on to, back underneath, and make sure you bring it up through the loop again, like that. Pull it down. So basically we made two knots here, and they're sitting next to each other, and these, doing it this way, this is now, the new cord is attached to those two holding cords. And then I'm just going to grab them and push it all the way up. And that is basically how we're going to be attaching all the cords to this original holding cord. And we need to have a total of 6 new cords onto that. I've then attached all my 6 cords here, so we have 6 lengths going out to each its own side. So what I'm going to do now is get another T-pin, and I just want to place this right on the bottom knot that we've done there. It's just to hold this in place while we do the next step. Because I'm going to start on my left side, I'm just going to kind of point it towards the right so it doesn't get in the way. So we're now going to be working on one side at a time, doing the same thing. So I'm just going to show you on this side first. So we're starting to work with the upper part of the wings here, and I'm starting on the left side like I said. So what we need to do is the very bottom one here needs to become the first holding cord, because we need to build a row of knots going up the side of that core that where we attached all the cords there. So we need to bring this up over all the others, and then we need to grab the very next one at a time, coming underneath. They're each going to be a working cords along the way. So this pointing upwards is the holding cord, so we need to use the working cord coming underneath to go around your finger and through the loop to make a half hitch. Then when you tighten this, you just want to make sure that you kind of push the holding cord a little bit over towards the other side of the core, because that just makes sure that the row that we're making is going to be nice and tight towards the center there. Another one to make it a double half hitch, just like that. And then we grab the very next one coming underneath, make a double half hitch with that. Again, make sure it's nice and tight against the core there. So we're kind of making this row point upwards. So I'm going to keep doing this all the way to the top. So now that I've done this row, worked all the way up here, used all those working cords, what we need to do now is make the upper part of the wing. So we need to get some new cords again. So we just take one at a time. So we need to attach these now to make that part. And then I'm going to put both ends together just like the other times. Find the middle there. Put the middle, that loop in the middle, underneath still the holding cord that we used throughout this row. Put it under that. And again, we're using the lax head knot here first of all. Put your fingers through and pull the tails through that loop. Pull it tight. And then what we need to do is have a little bit more spacing between for every knot here. So you have your cords coming out from that knot naturally towards each their own side. I'm going to take the one to the right side, stay on the right side of the knot, put it back around, over and back underneath, up through the loop of the holding cord there. And then pull that tight, and that's basically a half hitch. And then the other one towards the other side of the lax head knot, around and up through the loop, and then again tighten that. So this is now a lax head knot with a half hitch on each side, and we then want to push this all the way down to where the previous row that we made ends, and then you want to attach another two cords the exact same way right after that. So I now attach those three cords here right after each other, and they're now coming out like this at an angle from that previous row. Now every one cord that you attach is now turned into two working cords, so we've ended up with 6 working cords there, and then obviously we have all the ones coming from the side, so these are kind of crossing over each other, and that's exactly what we want, because we now need to use all these to make our next row and basically fill in the wing. So I'm just going to grab another pin. And again, just on the very last knot here, on that outside, just want to put that in, just to kind of hold this whole row in place while we're working with it. Keep it a bit more stable. So we now have this. So to start making the first row, we need to use 2 cords here. So from the ones from the inner that's pointing straight out to the side, we need to take the very top one that's right in the corner. And then we need to grab the first one from the top that's pointing downwards, also right in the corner. We need to take the one pointing to the side. It's going to go over all the others. That's going to be the very first holding cord. So the holding cord always goes over all the others. Then we take the coming underneath and make a double half hitch. Tighten that. Like that. So this now is a row we're going to be building. Right underneath that row we'll basically attach those new cords. And you just want to keep going like this, moving your way outwards, using 1 cord at a time here, all the way to the end until you use them all up. And every time just make sure you always grab the very next cord so you don't cross over those working cords, because that might make it a little bit messy. So work your way all the way out to the side, making your double half hitches. Almost at the end, and then on the very last one here, I'm just going to take the pin out again because it's a little bit in the way. It was just to hold it stable for now. The very last working cord, also make a double half hitch with that. And that basically finishes off this row right underneath, but we need to just finish off the row properly. So that means we now have these two kind of holding cords going out to the side. What we need to do is take the very top one, that's from the one where you attach the new cords, bring that down over the other one, because that's now going to still be a holding cord. The other one, the lower one, going straight out to the side, we need to then make a double half hitch with that around the top one, and then we need to point this in the other direction. So remember that your rows of knots always form in the direction that you're holding your holding cord. So this is now going downwards again as we're tightening these knots. And that basically cages in that little row that we just made, just nicely, and we get another corner there on the wing. So I'm just going to put these out to the side for now, because we need to go back in and then start building the next row. And for that you just want to go into the middle again, where kind of both cords that are crossing over meet. So you want to grab the very next one that's now the top one there, below the previous row, and that goes over all the others that are pointing downwards here. And then we just want to repeat the same thing. So now what we can also do, because we have a little bit of work done, I'm just going to put my pin in again, but in between the rows, so we're not causing too much damage to the cord either. It's going to be nice and secure then. Continue making your double half hitches here for the next row, all the way out to the edge, the exact same way. I've then reached the end of this row just like before. I've used up all those working cords, and then what we need to do is also finish off this row by continuing that row we have on the outside going downwards. For that we need to still use the same holding cord that we used on the previous one, but the working cord that we used to make the end of that one, we also need to bring that in. So we're now going to have two holding cords basically acting as one, and then the one holding cord from the row you just made, you just want to use that as the working cord on this row that's pointing straight downwards on the outer edge, and make a double half hitch with that. Just like that, and now then that row is nicely caged in as well. So basically you want to keep doing this now. We need to make row after row here, all these cords coming from the inner core kind of, pointing out to the side. We need to make one row with each of these, so take the top one again, start a new row, work your way out to the side. When you reach that, you completed your row. Then you want to bring in the two previous holding cords from that edge and bring in the previous working cord as well. And you want to keep doing that all the way down, so you can end up getting more and more holding cords on this outer edge until we used up all those original cords. When you then kept going and filling in the wing here, then what we need to do is just make the bottom part as well to kind of cage the whole wing in properly. So what we have, all these cords pointing downwards are all the working cords that created the rows, the ones we attached right at the top there, so the very top row, and we've ended up with 6 rows in total, including that top one. All the ones out here to the side are the original cords that we attached in the very core there, so they're all kind of bunched up together now. To make this bottom row, cage it in, we need to bring all these cords, so the holding cords that created the outer edge there, including the very last working cord as well, because that's from the inner core as well. Bring them over, and then we just need to use these working cords coming underneath one at a time and continue this row. So basically going from the outside, going around a corner here and then back in again. Make a double half hitch with each, and now what you don't want to be bringing in these cords with those that you've got here like we did on the outer edge. You just want to keep them as these 6 cords as the holding cords, and then we'll make a double half hitch with each of these working cords underneath and just leave them out to the side then. And just work your way all the way into the middle. So there we go, I've now reached the middle there with all these cords. So I have all the holding cords pointing inwards, kind of towards the other side there, and then all the working cords just coming down here. So this is the one side. We've made the top wing on one side now. What we need to do now is move over to the other side and basically do all the same things. So repeat all the same steps, just in a mirrored image, because obviously we're working on the opposite side. So you just want to start out with taking the very bottom cord here. So that very bottom one of the 6 on the right side, make your row, take that over the others, make a double half hitch with each of these going upwards along the side of the car, and then add your new cords on the top row, and then start making your rows, filling in the wing like we did here, while you come down on the outside, bringing in your holding cords, and down towards the middle the exact same way as you've done here. So you're going to end up with two kind of bunches of cord here pointing in towards the middle. Now that we've done made the other side as well, so you can see we have the two upper wings now, one on each side complete. So what we have now is these two cords in the middle are the original ones we attached to that jump ring. These two groups of cords are the holding cords running through that bottom row there. That's just kind of crossing in towards the middle. And these two are coming out, these two groups are the cords coming out on the bottom of the wings that we used as the working cords there. So these were the shorter ones that we attached right at the very top. So what we need to do now is get in place and then start making the bottom wings. So the two cords in the middle here, I'm just going to separate one out because one is then going to be the working cord for now. That's out to the side there. And then I'm going to bring these two groups of cords that are running, the holding cords there, through the bottom rows in with that last cord in the middle and just bring them all together. So these are all now a group of holding cords. The one I just separated out from the middle is going to bring that underneath, and then we need to do one double half hitch with this around all of these cords to basically bring them together in the middle there. So we completely fasten and secure the top wings in place, and just push the knot as far up as it'll go, just like that. And there we've now brought those two groups in together as well. So to then prepare for the bottom wings, we need to just separate some cords out as we go to use for them. So I'm going to take one cord towards one side, just take what's naturally coming towards the side, separate out from this big bundle in the middle, and then one towards the other side. Then I'm going to take the working cord that we just used for a knot again, bring that underneath this whole group, and then just ignore the two that you kind of separated out as if they're not there. We're going to make another double half hitch but with opposite hands to kind of create that core again, and then push that up below the previous knot and make it one more for a double like that. And then by doing this you can see now that we have these two cords, one on each side, separated out from that bundle in the middle, and we need to do that another couple of times, so we in total end up with 3 cords separated out on each side here. When we then have the 3 cords on each side here, it's going to be the same principle as the top ones. We're going to work with one side at a time, so I'm just going to put the other side of the way, and all the middle ones here as well, including the working cord, just put them to the side as well. So we're going to start with this side, and again I'm just going to take a pin, put it towards the bottom of this row in the middle that we just made, just to help keep it in place so it doesn't move around too much while we're working with it. So we need to grab the top one of the 3 on this side, so on the left side here. That's going to be the first holding cord, because we need to then start making a row outward here using these working cords coming from the top wing. So these all need to come downwards. We will then take this top cord from the core going out to the side above them, and then we just need to start doing a double half hitch with each cord here. Take the first one, do a double half hitch, tighten it, making our very first row on the bottom wing here. Grab the very next one and making this row right underneath the top wing there, the row on the top wing, as close as you can get it. And then what we want to make sure to do, because obviously these are the bottom wings, they're going to be smaller than the top wings, so that's also why we only separated out 3 cords to use from the core. But also, I'm getting towards the end here, I'm not going to incorporate the very last one. So all these working cords, I'm not going to use the last one there. I'm just going to put that out of the way, because that's also going to help make this bottom wing smaller. So I've only used 5 of our working cords there. So that's the first one. We then need to start with the same principle as we did on the top wing. Grab the very next cord, so the middle one of the 3 that you separated out, as your next holding cord, bring it over all the rest, coming downwards here. Make another row of knots, With your double half hitches, working your way all the way out to the edge. And then there it's also going to be the same principle for now. Well, we also need to finish off the rows in the same way. So we need to basically cage the rows in here with a row going downwards on the outer edge. I'm just going to show you that. So if you remember from the top one, we now have these two holding cords from the two first rows. The top one goes downwards over the other one, and the one coming underneath going out to the side is the first working cord, because we need to make that little corner there, and then just make a double half hitch so a row comes downwards like that. And then that's what you want to do again. You want to take the very last cord from the center, do this again, make another row, and again bring the holding cords from the edge in as well. And remember to bring in the one that you used as a working cord. So you just want to make your last row here as well. So on the outer edge of this final third row, you want to do the same. Bring both of the cords out to the side downwards to bring them into it. So we don't have any loose ones out to the side just yet, to finish off that row as well. So you now have 3 complete rows there. Now what we need to do is make the rows a little bit smaller to make a bit of a graduation on it. So to do that, I'm going to leave out the very first working cord there that we've been using, that's pointing downwards. We now have no more cords coming from the middle there, so leave that out. Then I grab the very next one, and I use this as my next holding cord, so I just take that, bring it over the other working cords pointing downwards to start my next row. Grab the next one coming underneath, make a double half hitch with that, and you can see the row starts further in than the previous ones. So use all the remaining working cords here. And then this row has already gotten smaller than the other ones. There we go. And again, do the same thing. Grab all 3, because you want to make sure you bring these 3 cords that originally were from the middle back into the middle. Just like we did up here, that was just 6 of them. And then just take the holding cord from the row, small one you just made, and then finish that one off. Like that. To make the very last row, I'm going to do the same again. From the row that we just made, leave out the very first working cord. Take the very next one, so the middle of the 3 that we had left. Bring that over the only other working cord that we have left. So this is only going to be 1 knot. So it's going to be a very small row. Make a double half hitch. And there we go. So you can see it's kind of graduating now. And then here we want to then again cage in this row. Remember to leave out this cord now though. Don't bring this into it, because this is one of the ones we attached on the top. It's not one of the ones from the center. So use the holding cord from the row you just made. Again, we're now starting to come around a bit around a corner again to make a bit of a rounded shape down here to frame the whole wing in basically. Now you want to grab the cord that was the working cord that made that very last final single knot, also around your cords here, holding cords, there we go. Now you want to take the next one you run into, basically, that first one you used on the previous row, bring that underneath, use as your working cord. So you want to make sure now when you're tightening these knots, you're helping it along by pushing your holding cords upwards a bit towards that direction as you're tightening your knot, just to avoid you getting too many gaps in your piece. The very first one you left out to make that first smaller row, the very last one we're going to use here. Same principle, underneath, make a double half hitch, and again make sure you help it along by pushing your holding cords in the direction that you want that row to go, just like that. So we've now caged in this whole bottom wing as well. Used all the working cords. Now this bundle of the 3 cords that we originally separated out from the middle are again coming in towards the middle where they came from. So this is the bottom part of the wing on that side done then. Same principle as the top one. You want to repeat, do the exact same thing on the other side, just mirror it obviously. So put everything to the opposite side, use all these cords to start doing the same thing. make your first row, and then build your rows in the exact same way. Now that we've then made the other side of that bottom wing as well, what we have is basically the completed butterfly. We just obviously have all these cords left. So these two groups, one on each side of the ones that came around the bottom, now pointing in towards the middle. We have the middle one here, which was all the holding cords running through the cord of the butterfly there. And this one is just the working cord that we did in the middle as well. These ones are the ones we used as a working cord around. So we're all done with all these now. We can just put them out of the way. So what I just want to do before we move on and complete it fully, I just want to get rid of some of these cords. So all these cords in the middle here, so the holding cords from the middle of the bracelet, these ones were separated out. I'm not going to use them. I just want to get rid of some of these in the middle here because we have quite a few cords left. Just want to minimize that. And also not the working cord, we're going to leave that out. So what I'm going to do is grab some scissors and just go in and take one cord at a time and cut it off right up where they're coming out basically. So this is just to have less cords to deal with to be able to finish it off. So just cut all these off except for two of this middle bundle and also the working cord. So once you've done that, the two that we did leave still, I'm going to bring them back down. And then I'm just going to take the three from each side that were the holding cords down here on the side of the wings. They're going in towards there. And just bring them all together. So we now have all these. We just cut some of them off to have less cords here in this final bundle now. We still have the working cord from the middle as well. I'm going to bring that to the opposite side because we just want to make another double half hitch to just complete and connect these bottom sections together as well, just like we did on the top. So just make your double half hitch, bring it all the way up to right below, push it as far up as it'll go so we secure all this in place. So there we go. So this is basically the butterfly completed now. I'm going to take all these pins out of it so we can take it off the board here because we're done with our macrame. And then what we have left are obviously these cords in the middle that were just the holding cords coming down, straight down from the center of the butterfly. Those are the ones we're going to then use to make that little tassel on the bottom. The rest of the cords here we now want to start getting rid of. So to do that, you can either use a bit of glue, so add a bit of glue to the very ends where they're coming out and then let that dry for a bit and cut off the excess with a scissor. Or you can do what I'm going to do. You can do this if you're using a synthetic cord like what I'm using here, some nylon, and then just what you want to do is go all the way around, take one at a time here, cut the cord down so you have about 1 millimeter or so left, and then I'm going to get a lighter and then just singe that end down just gently, and then you can push it down like that. So that seals off the end in place and also finishes it off nicely, and it's secure though because we've sealed it off like that. And just got all the way around here with the excess cord that you have, finish it off that way, except for those in the middle. You also want to just finish off that working cord there as well. So do that with all of the excess cord. So I've now gotten rid of all my excess cords here, and I'm only left with these in the middle. And like I said, these are the ones I'm going to add my beads onto then. And you can really do this however you want. Now again, what can help, just depending on what beads you use, is if you just, the ends can sometimes be a bit frayed. It can be a bit difficult sometimes putting the bead onto there. So to help that, just a little trick is just for a second or two, warm the end up with your lighter, and then just roll it between your fingers. You get a bit of a point then, more of a needle to the end of your cord. Obviously whenever you're working with a naked flame here, you want to make sure you be careful, because obviously it gets hot, and just so nothing bad happens. Then I'm going to put my bead, I'm going to just take one at a time here, and then you just want to decide how long you want your tassel there to be as well. I like mine to not be too long, and also like them to have different lengths, but just do it however you want to. Put your bead on, tie a knot, wherever you want the length to stop basically. And then you want to do that with all of them, however you want to add your beads. When I've then added all my beads here, I'm then just going to finish off the ends of all these cords by just underneath that knot on each one, just cut off so I have about 1 millimeter left again, and if you're using synthetic cord you can do this. And then just take my lighter again and just carefully singe the end up to seal it in place, and then that knot won't come undone or anything. And just do that with all of them. When you've done that, you can attach this to whatever earring finding, or if you want it to be a pendant. Obviously if you want earrings you can do another one of this, and then your butterfly will be done. I've now finished off all the cords down here then, and I've also attached my earring finding with an extra jump ring up there, and then this is your finished butterfly on an earring. And obviously you just want to make 2 if you want it as earrings, if you want 2 earrings that is. And you have both of them here. They're going to be really cute earrings hanging and dangling with that little tassel as well. It would also make a really cute pendant on its own, just using one of them. But then this is how they look. So that's how you make to match the bracelet as well if you want to, that I've already done a tutorial on. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you very much for watching. Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to make these butterflies on a core running down the middle there. And that's what it looks like. So this one I've made, in this case, I've just turned into a bracelet length. So it'd be nice, you can have all these butterflies going around your wrist. You can obviously make them smaller if you want to, by using a different type of cord. So then I've just attached clasp and extender chain by using cord ends as well. You can finish off yours however you want to. But then there you have your butterflies going all the way